Hello, and welcome to Message in the Middle with Marianne. We all know that life is hard, right? It's messy, it's unpredictable, but it can be wonderful all at the same time. My hope is that we can take a deep dive into self-development topics and explore life's lessons through book clubs, conversations, and interviews. And together, we can uncover the lessons that others have already learned to help us navigate this crazy, wonderful ride called life. Hello and welcome to Message in the Middle. I'm your host, Marianne, and because you're here, I know you're someone who's asking deeper questions about where you've been, where you're headed, and who do you want to be in the next season of your life. And you might be someone whose intuition is telling you that after doing all the right things and showing up for everyone else for so long, there's more out there, more truth, more alignment, more of you. It's in this space, in the pause between what was and what's next, that real transformation begins. And today's guest, Anna Quigley, knows that space well. Intuition has guided her through career changes, relationships, health challenges, and daily life. Learning to read the internal signals, whether they're physical, emotional, or mental, helped her shift from overthinking to alignment. And now, as a transformational coach with over 30 years of study in neuroscience, quantum mind-body tools, and sensory imagination, Anna believes intuition isn't just real, it's essential. And she's helping women turn inward, learn to trust themselves, and step into clarity. Anna, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Beautiful language that you're using. Thank you. You really clarified it so well, just even to begin with.
Oh, well, thank you for that. I think it's a topic that we've all heard of. We probably all know a little bit about, but I also think that some people still may think intuition is a little bit too, woo-woo. So I'd love to start out with getting your perspective because you describe intuition as one of your most powerful tools. And I have to imagine that wasn't always the case. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing I'm not. So I'd love to hear what shifted for you personally.
Yeah, well, you're right. I wish I could say I knew this early on. And that's one of my goals is ultimately I would love to see kids, teenagers and beyond really understand they have this, how much simpler and more streamlined their life could be. I used to have a really hard time making a decision. I was so afraid of making a wrong decision that I would get stuck. Well, if I went this way, what if I changed my mind? What if I wanted to go this way? I didn't have clarity. I didn't have confidence in what I was feeling. Part of me was like, oh, and this was, late teens, even early 20s. And I struggled. I really struggled with it. And it stopped me from doing a lot of the things that I knew innately I really wanted to do. It wasn't until I really started doing some spiritual study and some spiritual work that I realized that intuition is innate. This is built-in equipment, and I joke. I call it it's our internal GPS. The same, we have it in the cars, built in. We have it built in too, and we've learned to trust the car's GPS. And ironically, probably more than many of us do our internal GPS. And one of the things that analogies that I'd love to use if I can share is using the car's GPS. All we have to do is tell it where we want to go. I want this destination. Here I am. You plug it in and you let go. You trust that GPS is going to get there. You don't tell it okay, now we're going to turn left here and then you're going to go down the hill and you're going over here. It's hands off driving. GPS knows, and we have total confidence and faith. It may not take the same route that we would have taken. And I found some great restaurants and shops because my GPS went a way I didn't even know about. But it's the same thing with our internal guidance system, our internal GPS. Or we let it go. We get clear on what it is that we want. We let go. And it's like the universe and energy and all of the amazing energies around us rise up and help us. and guide us there. And that's where learning to listen to and recognize the signs of intuition is critical. And that's why I call it a tool, because it's something we can learn. It takes practice, but we can learn, we can get better at it.
You said once we get clear on where we want to go, we can trust our internal.
Right.
I think that's part of the problem, and think that many of us aren't clear. But in addition to that, I also think we don't even know that voice is there, or we kind of know, but we really don't really know how to tap into it. So what do you say to the person that says, I don't even know what my intuition sounds like? Do I even have an intuition? What do you say to that?
Well, I can promise them, yes, you have intuition. We all do. Like I said, I think of it as your built-in, original equipment, like you have a hard drive on your computer. Listening to it is the other thing. And I think there's still a little stigma about intuition, and some people still think it's a little woo-woo. And
100%.
there's so much science behind it. I'm a little bit of a science geek, so I have done a lot of research, and there is full-backed scientific data that shows how intuition works and speaks to us. Everything in our body is connected chemically. Everything speaks to everything else chemically. And this makes so much sense. It's like, of course, because intuition speaks to us through our senses. Through our visual cues and that little voice, we've heard that term, the little voice. I think the one most of us are familiar with is that gut feeling, that flipping stomach or butterflies where you're like, this is something good. But chemically, can I get a little nerdy, science nerdy for just a second?
I would love that. Yeah.
One of the stats that I found that I love is that we receive, just by being, about 11 million bits of information every single second. And only 1% is picked up by our brain. Guess where the rest of it's picked up? It's through our senses. So it totally makes sense that when we're getting that gut feeling or that tingle or this, chills on our arms, or when we just, you've walked into a room and maybe, okay.
Yeah.
Something's, I don't know what it is, but something's not right, or something with that person, it's like magnets, kind of opposite each other. That makes sense to me, because that's how our intuition is speaking to us. The gut intestine, they actually call the second brain. It does so much in interpreting these signals. And that's, if you would say, the trick in learning to recognize intuition is starting to pay attention to these signals. How are they coming? Is it coming through a visual cue? And that doesn't just, it's not, the kid in The Sixth Sense where he's dead people. That may be something else, but that's not what intuition is. So we could put that one off the table. But, you can drive down a road 20 times a week and not see a sign. And all of a sudden maybe you're looking for a new car, or you're looking for a new computer, or you want to take a vacation. And all of a sudden you notice the sign. It's been there the whole time, but why are you drawn to that? That's an example of a visual kind of clue or cue. That little voice, that's the auditory. Sometimes it is a little voice. Sometimes it's a really loud voice. If you're pulling into an intersection and there's a car whizzing by, you've felt that stop, whatever. It's internal. But I also have learned to pay attention when things like, a little more subtly, two or three people may mention a book within a really short period of time, or a movie, or a place to go. I listen to those, and I've learned that there's usually something there for me, either just an enjoyable experience or information for me to learn. There's a reason for that.
When you said that, it made me think some of those things, well, especially the example of somebody makes mention of a book and they mention it, or a couple people mention it. I've had that example where I've talked about this on the podcast. Like a topic will just keep coming up. It wasn't planned, but it keeps sort of coming up. But for me, I don't think of that as intuition. I think of that as sort of the universe sending me a message on something for some reason that it needs to be talked about, or there's something there to explore. So it was interesting to me to hear you say that example as something as intuition.
What's the difference between, as you said, the universe kind of bringing you a message than your intuition?
I guess maybe nothing. I don't know. I hadn't contemplated that before as one and the same. So
a different way to think about it. But you intuitively, and I'll use that word deliberately, recognized
yes,
that something was coming up
yes,
for you.
Fair,
right?
Yes.
And it's just the perception of looking at that.
What brought it? Yeah.
What brought it? It's like that's how intuition can work, and those little messages. And I love that.
Yeah.
That you're recognizing it, but not acknowledging it.
Well, I do acknowledge it out loud and have, but not as my intuition bringing it forward. So yeah, that part I wasn't acknowledging. So that's fair. So go back to the person who says, I don't even think I have an intuition. What do you advise? Because I know you coach people. Right. How do you advise them? Like, what are some simple, practical steps, really tactical stuff that people can try to kind of tune that in, if you will? One
of the issues and the challenges is that we're so busy.
Yeah.
We have so much stimulus, and not just those 11 million bits coming at us. But we throw more at it with the phones and our TV and the cars, and we're driving around and we're doing all of this. It's hard to hear.
Yes.
It literally becomes hard to hear these signals. It's almost like we need to tune the dial. You know, if you think of two different frequencies, you turn the sound down on that chaos around us that we live in to be able to listen to that. And the simplest way to do that is just to find moments even where you can be quiet, where you can be still. It could be taking an extra 2 minutes before you get out of your car and go into the house and, deal with family and dinner, cooking dinner and taking care of the kids and all of that. Because it's hard to carve out quiet time in our lives. It's really difficult. That's a sneaky little way to just don't have the radio on. Don't be looking at the phone. Obviously, just take a few deep breaths and just kind of listen and ask your intuition if there's something that you're wanting to know or you're not clear on. Ask. You'd be surprised what comes up. Now, a couple of other ways that I love. Most of us, I think, have had this experience. When you wake up first thing in the morning, right? You're just barely awake. All of a sudden you have this, oh, yeah. Oh, that's the solution to that. Oh, I didn't think about that. Here's this perfect. And you're just thinking, oh, I must have dreamt it. We're in that relaxed state. We've quieted the chatter.
Yeah.
And we're letting that be heard, literally. It's making space. Intuition's like, come on. But our rational mind and everything else is just like, okay, no, we got to keep the show running, and we got to keep you guys on track and keep everything moving. And my third favorite one, and I call this the power of the shower. And it's not just the shower, but I have so many examples of famous people who say, oh, I've gotten, Einstein and John Lennon, and I mean, on and on and on, and scientists as well, that in that quiet space, again, because we're tuning out the world, float in a pool, go for a walk in the woods, getting just out in nature, anything that can quiet and still the chaos, the noise around. Chaos isn't always a bad word, but that stimulus that we just live in all the time. Those are key ways to really start, but it comes with giving intuition a chance to come through.
The practice.
Giving it a little space.
Yeah.
And you can practice. It does get better. And you asked about recognizing the voice. How do you even know? It really becomes as simple as like, next time we talk, I'm going to know who's calling. You're not going to say, hi, it's Marianne. I'll know your voice. And the more you practice, the more we talk, you barely have to get a syllable out. Like, oh, it's Marianne. I know that. And your intuition can come that clearly the more you get to know it.
I love that idea. I love that idea. And I loved the shower example because when you got to example 2, I was thinking the shower.
Yeah.
I gotta say the shower because I will say for years, like work stuff, right? Sometimes you're like going over and over a situation, trying to come up with the best solution or whatever, and you're not getting there. And it was so many times in the shower, like just
Yeah.
the next morning, you're in the shower, you just get up. And I'm somebody that showers like right away when I get up. So it's really fresh. I'm still very relaxed.
Right.
And yeah, the mind is definitely in a different position at that point.
I recently heard a newly awarded Nobel Prize winning scientist that was here in the area. I heard him talk, and he was going on about this and that, and what it takes to create whatever he was doing. And one of the students in the class says, "Oh, I get it. Really takes a lot of hard work." And it kind of caught him. He goes, "Well, yeah, it takes a lot of hard work." And he said, "But honestly," he said, "I get most of my best ideas when I'm running around the park at the beach. It's the shower.
Yeah.
It's the shower."
Because that probably
Yeah, it's the
relaxes him.
relaxed. He's tuning out and letting go of all of the
Yeah.
data, all of the information, all the stimulus that's around us all the time. So if it's not a secret, but if there's a key, it's find some quiet space. Take a long bath, floating in the water. There's something about water buoyant. Actually, the theory of buoyancy was, and displacement actually came because the scientist got in the bathtub, but he goes, "Oh, wait a minute, the water came up when I came." It's literally. So, who knows what you can invent next time you take a shower?
But don't try too hard. That defeats the purpose. Stay relaxed. Stay relaxed.
Yeah. I know that's such a balance, isn't it?
Yes.
You want to open to it, but you don't want to effort and force it.
Right.
Yeah. And we humans like to do that. So
of course we do. We like to problem solve. And I want to problem solve here. I want to take it to the next step. So we've talked about what it is, how it shows up, sort of what it looks like, air quotes, looks like, and how you can get more familiar with it. What about the person that feels it, hears it, sees it? They know it's there, but they don't act on it. They're scared to act on it, maybe. What do you say to that?
It's difficult because they're way ahead of the game in so many ways if they're already recognizing this. And it's take baby steps. Take baby steps. If you're getting those messages and you're just like, I don't know, why am I why am I told to go this way, in that way? That doesn't make, I have an example of that. Doesn't make any sense. Well, try it. I even suggest tracking, write it down. If you get an inkling, if you get a feeling, just make a note, jot it down. What was it? Was it gut feeling? Did you just know? If you had those things where I don't know how I know, but I know, there's no changing my
100%.
mind. It's an absolute.
Yeah.
Well, that's that intuition. So,
yes.
If you have these, just jot it down. And did you follow it? If you didn't, did anything happen or not? The interesting thing, can I share a quick story? I'm telling a tale on myself because I've been practicing this and using this for years.
Sure.
And I'm human, cursed, but I'm human still. And I was in a really relaxed state coming home from an acupuncture appointment, and I didn't want to take the freeway. I wanted the back road, nice, smooth, relaxing. I wanted to stay in the relaxing mode. Got almost to the freeway, and that little voice, "Take the freeway." It startled me. I'm like, no, but my rational mind was like, no, we're going this way. You want to be relaxed. You're going this way. And I ignored it. And I got about a block and a half further, and it was like, turn around, take the freeway. And I hate turning around. I hate double backing. It's a pet peeve of mine. And I'm like, the rational mind can be a bully. And it's like, no, we had a plan. We're going this way. I turned about a quarter mile later. I turned down the road and I got stuck in traffic for probably half an hour extra. So, I could sit in my car and relax, but I laughed so hard because you know better. Twice you heard and you ignored it, not once, but twice. And then I realized what a great lesson, what a great reminder, because so often when we do listen, nothing may have happened. Had I listened to the intuition, taken the freeway, probably nothing. It would have been a nice, smooth ride home, and I would have gotten home just fine and sooner, but I never would have known what I might miss.
Yeah.
So there's, that's where it gets like, well, why should I listen to it? Because nothing happened. I listened and nothing happened. You never know. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it's protecting us, saving us from an inconvenience. But that's where I would start, is just kind of start paying attention. Make a note. Did something happen afterwards? Maybe nothing did. Then try it again. If you get a little voice in your head, just play with it. I tested it back in the day. I did, because I'm a bit of a skeptic, or I used to be. And, and it proved itself to be absolutely. So, test it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I think the other thing, I like the idea of writing it down, because my experience, and from talking to others, I think many as well, that the bigger things, they don't go away. They might quiet down, but they're coming back around. And many times it's a little louder, a little longer, and it continues to show up until you finally hear it. But sometimes we don't realize it's, hey, this is the third time you've heard this little ping, this little message. But if you've written it down, maybe you will connect those dots and put that together. So I like that idea.
Well, it's easy to just forget about it.
Yeah.
Again, because there's something going on in our life. You have a 10-second thing where it's like, oh, turn right here. Oh, okay. I know, I'm heading this way. I'm going that way. Well, you're not going to remember that.
Right.
The next day, the next week, you're never going to remember that. But if within, whenever you can, you just jot down, oh, yeah, I had that little feeling. I ignored it. Did anything happen? No. But make a game out of it. A little quiz it, test it, because I already know you will find that it works. But in my personal life, I've never had it not be at least neutral. Now, if there are issues with it, that's usually when the emotions and the personal is coming in. It's like, well, it didn't do this. Well, it's because your ego's playing hard and fast in that, trying to go, no, I'm controlling this. So, but I find it helps, especially for people that just are at that questioning stage, like I was years ago, where it's like, I don't know if this is real. I don't want to seem foolish by listening to it.
Yeah, I think that happens to everybody, or many, many people. And I also think that balancing, whether it's your intuition talking to you, or what if it's fear? I mean, people can get that can be confusing, that inner voice of, I'm scared and fearful of it. And how do you balance?
That's a great point. Yeah.
I think that's tricky.
It can be, and it is a little unnerving, but again, it's getting familiar with it. It's getting familiar. If it's coming from your source. If you start feeling comfortable, and the physical signs, I think, makes it easier to start learning to trust it.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to take action on it unless you start having some trust and confidence that this is coming from my inner knowing. This is coming from my higher power, whatever language that is for you. When you start having the trust, then it's like, okay, I'll try it this time. And oh, okay, And again, nothing wrong with testing it, but taking action. I mean, you can get all the clues you want, like I did, and I still ignored it, and I got stuck in traffic. It wasn't anything major. It was an inconvenience, and it proved to be a really, really great lesson reminder.
It happens to the best of us, obviously.
And we're human. We're human. It's never going to stop. But I try and keep it to the absolute minimal, of my not following it and not taking action on it. So
I want to switch gears and talk about sensory imagination work.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest, I had not heard maybe the concept when you talk about it a little bit more, but that term, or calling it that, is not something I had heard. So talk to me a little bit about what that is and what you use it for.
It's all tied together. Maybe visualization is a word that you're familiar with, but visualization, in my way of thinking, is limiting, because I have had clients go, I can't visualize anything. I can never see anything. Well, as we already talked about, intuition works through all of our senses, not just the vision. So sensory imagination. Okay, so when you get clarity on, let's say I want to have this situation, I want to have a new job, I want to create a new job. Okay, you know that. You can essentially reprogram, re-engineer your mind, because again, the chemicals are in our body speaking to each other. This part, the hip bone connects to the thigh bone kind of thing. Everything's connected and talking to each other. So using sensory imagination, we're tapping into each of our senses and being as specific as we can. So let's say I want a new house. Okay, what's the house look like? Not only what does it look like, but use the visual. Oh, it's going to be green. It has a Tudor top, or I want a front porch, or whatever that visual. Oh, it's got a big kitchen, or it's got a fireplace in the backyard. And then what do the flowers in the garden smell like? Are there flowers in the garden? Is it fresh mown lawn in your new house? Can you visualize yourself mowing the lawn, or sitting back and having someone else mow the lawn, and you're either it's fine, and you're smelling that fresh mown grass and the flowers, and feel the grass under your feet. Picture yourself making dinner the first time, or having friends and family over in your new kitchen, your new house, and entertaining. What does that feel like? Are you happy? Are you excited? Are your friends congratulating you? What's the energy around that? Every sense that you can possibly tie in and get specific. And that's the key. Be specific. If it's a job, what kind of work do you do? Do you like working in an office? Do you want to work outside? If it's outside, or is it, like physical work that makes you feel good? Or you want to work at a computer or a drawing, or is it creative? Specific. And how does that feel? If you want to be an artist, feel the paintbrush in your hand, the canvas underneath. So that's what I mean by sensory imagination. Much more robust than the word just visual, not just, because visualization is extremely powerful, but it's bringing everything together.
Yeah.
And by doing this, it's like learning to listen. There's repetition. The more you do it, the more you get all of your senses involved. You are literally reprogramming your brain. It goes, oh, that's what you want. Okay. And everything kind of, then you start having synchronicities, and you're running into people, and this happens, and wow, we didn't know you were looking for a new house.
Yeah.
The guy next door has crazy fun things happen.
Yeah.
But it literally, it's like re-engineering.
Yes.
Because we know everything starts with a thought. Everything starts with a thought. And then the more we bring every sense of us in, and knowing how the energy works, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense now to me, right? It makes sense.
It makes sense. And the critical piece is being very detailed, like you said. And I experienced this, I think, for the first time with such strong synchronization with thinking about a job transition. After 26 years, I switched jobs. I had a 6-month break. And in between, I really was trying to put some thought into, what do I want this thing to look like now that I'm, moving to my next chapter after having spent 26 years doing this other thing. And I literally wrote in my journal, and I wrote, very detailed characteristics for the next situation. I wasn't even looking, like I said, for 6 months, but I did reread that a few times during that time and refined it. And I will tell you what, I landed a job and a role in a company that matched all of those bullets. And I've shared that exact visual with people to show that example, but it is the detail. I think the detail helps us get really clear about what we want. And then we start tuning in to those specific, kind of like your reference to the radio. We're tuning into just those stations that can possibly offer us that thing. But it's the detail that really matters.
It is. And I'm stealing this from a mentor, a former mentor of mine, but you wouldn't just, log on to Amazon and say, just send me something you think I'd like.
Yeah.
Right? Is that the best? I love that. That's why I claim that as hers, but I love sharing it. No, we tell them exactly what size, color, how length. Sleeves can't be too long. We get so specific when we're ordering stuff, except when we're ordering for our own lives.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, that is a really great example. Yes.
Is it so? And it's so, we've all been there with that.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. That's no, it's not the right shape,
Yeah.
heel or whatever. We
Yeah.
get minute in the details. And then, it's just like in our life, it's like, oh, it's like getting in the car, going on a long trip, but you don't have a map, you don't have a GPS, just start driving. It's like, well, I don't know where I'm going to show up. But we have
Well,
that.
sometimes we do
Well,
that.
but no, those are fun trips, road trips where let's just see where we go.
Yeah.
But for a job or for things like that,
Yeah.
you want to be, specific. This is where we have power. We have control, which it doesn't feel like a lot of times, It's easy to feel like everything that's happening around me, I don't have any control. And there's a lot of things we don't have any control over. But we can control our thoughts, we can control our language. Even when you get really specific and clear on your list for your job, read it out loud. That's bringing another sense into it,
Yeah.
and every time you do, think about how it felt. And I love that you created that gate for you. That's fantastic.
And I love your example of the house. And I want to call out my friend Amy from the Grounded in Maine podcast, because she is looking to transition locations and houses and all the things. And she has some really specific things in mind that haven't quite shown up for her yet. And I think she listens religiously. So I'm hoping she'll tune into your feedback on, how specific she should be. And I have heard that writing it and saying it out loud and thinking about how it will feel and how it will taste, and just making sure you're thinking about all of the senses. Like you said, it employs different senses. So
Exactly.
bring it into the equation. So Amy, go back and re-listen to what we just said and call it into reality for yourself.
Well, it almost is like that. So
Order it from Amazon.
Order from Amazon. Think about it. You're just going to tell Amazon, just tell me where to move.
Yeah.
Tell me where the house is. No.
Tell me where the opportunity is. Yeah. Love it.
One goofy little house story. I had been renting a piano where I was living, and I'm perpetually trying to learn. And I wasn't going to move it to the new house. I'm like, okay, I know I'm looking for the house. I was clear on what I wanted. I said, but I really want a house with a piano. I really want a house with a piano. And, I'll get a piano when I move to the house. I saw the house on the outside. I had a feeling. I'm like, oh, I think this is my house. Went in, wandered around, looked around, went down the basement. There was a piano. And on the piano, and I'm not kidding, there was a sign that says comes with the house.
There's your sign.
If that's not a sign, now talk about clarity. When I moved and I sold that house and I moved, I tried to get the piano out, but it wouldn't come. They obviously had redone the stairs down to the basement. So if you want the piano to also go with you, you have to be clear.
So maybe there's your sign that you shouldn't play piano. I don't know.
Well, that's there. I've had many of those signs. I just can't quite get to that point yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
funny.
it's one of those signs where you go, okay, I get it.
I love it. But I think the examples, though we're laughing about them, I think that everybody, if they sit back for a few minutes and think about it, they've had examples as well. So they just need to recognize that they've been examples of this.
Exactly. And that's another great tool too. If you're comfortable, think about it. When have you had those situations of like, oh wow, how did that happen? And even write those down. It's like people have had more than they remember. They have more than they realize.
Yeah.
And just all of that starts it's building a connection. It's building a connection. But I love that.
So all the things we've been talking about are things that you talk about when you're working with folks on, especially people that are trying to go through some type of transition, transformation, transition, things like that, life changes. So I'm curious, what do you think holds so many people back?
I work a lot with midlife women and beyond.
Yeah.
But one of the statements that really upsets me, because I know that it's not true, is when they say, oh, I think I'm too old. I think
Yes.
I'm too old.
Yes.
You're 50. Half your life is still potentially there. If not now, when? And it just breaks my heart when they don't move forward because it's too. If you could do what you're on this planet to do, if you could do what your soul is calling you to do, what your authentic self really is craving for a month, how wonderful would that be? None of us know how long we've got, but if we have the opportunity to do something that not only fulfills us, but it usually is a benefit to people around us as well. But dreams don't have a deadline. They just don't until they're fulfilled. And then you get another one. I'm probably on part 4 of my
And that's and that's
of
okay.
mine. Yeah, exactly. Because the first half of life, we've got school and we're getting educated and we start families and we're getting ourselves grounded. But I'm pulling out all my little analogies with you, Marianne. It's like in football, all the really good stuff happens at the end, right?
Yes.
All exciting, and they make the touchdowns and they win. It's all the really exciting, fun stuff. It doesn't happen before halftime.
So true.
I mean, there sometimes, but the first half, they're getting warmed up. They're kind of feeling each other out, how they are doing their thing. And that's us with life. We're getting our feet grounded and how to be on this planet and how to navigate basic things. And you get to a point, and midlife, there definitely are a lot of physical, emotional shifts. Kids maybe are out of the house. It's that quiet again.
Yeah.
Things start calming down and start quieting, and all of a sudden you're feeling this calling or this little nudge or something that you can't really identify.
Yeah.
And it's comes back to, your life is calling.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Are you listening? And how can you listen? And how can you tune into that and see what's next? It doesn't have to be. I think a lot of people too, not just fear that they're too old, but I think change is difficult. Change can be hard. And following a purpose, following that calling doesn't mean your whole life is going to be uprooted. It doesn't change your marriage or your family or your house or the way you live. But it's adding something to it. It's not taking anything away. It's adding, enhancing, rather than that. And I think that I know that's a common fear. It's like, what's it going to look like on the other side? And none of us knows.
I agree. And I think there's so many things around what you just said, because I think that change is hard. I think it's scary. We've often lived in our comfort zone for a really long time and we're not used to being uncomfortable. I think that that's one of the key things we can do is just take some baby steps and get a little bit more comfortable being uncomfortable. But I also think that sometimes we get hung up in the, when people throw words out like purpose or, trying to find your thing. I think a lot of people get hung up in the like thinking it has to be this big grandiose thing, and it doesn't.
No.
It could be it could be something so simple: volunteering, painting. I mean, picking up trash in your neighborhood. I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with really grassroots things.
Yes.
It could be anything that just makes you feel a little more full, a little more energized, fills you up versus takes away. And I think
Wonderful.
Leaning into those things, like you said, like just one little piece at a time, just take a step, because I also think we are very often at this point in our lives used to being the experts. We're used to knowing the path. We're used to knowing the plan. And suddenly we have to just sort of trust that it'll unfold.
Scary,
right? But you don't really need to.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I always try to reaffirm is take one step. Just take one step and see where you go. And you can go backwards if you don't like that step, or you can take a different step.
Exactly. That goes back to the fear when I was a kid. I was afraid of making a decision.
Yeah.
What if this is wrong? What if so you turn around or you take a step over, you go here, you go, that was interesting, but no, that's not it. And it can be small things. I think there's a lot of clues when we are younger.
Me too.
In our lives, look back at what did you love when you were in school?
Yeah.
Who says, oh, I love philosophy, so I'm going to make a career out of that. And your parents are going, no, you're going, you need a practical.
Late middle school.
Yeah.
Even younger, like late middle school, early high school. I think that very, very often there's a message there that we let go of and we lost. Yeah.
A lot of pressure. It's like, junior high. or middle school or whatever it's called. Whatever it's called.
Both. I guess it depends where you
It's
are.
still both, I think.
Yeah.
But it's like, so what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
What a question to throw at a kid, you know?
What a question to throw at an adult.
What a yeah.
I don't know. I still don't know. I know what I do, but I don't know what I want to be.
I've known like 2 people that could answer that when they're
Yeah.
7 and 8, but it's not most of us. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, how would I know? I don't even know what's out there. I don't even know what the
Right.
possibilities are. So it gets scary. And that, that's interesting that you say that, because now I'm thinking, well, that feeling carries through. And I'm that's probably the same thinking, but I'm getting enlightened. So thank you. It's like, at midlife, it's still the same thing. It's like, oh, well, I don't know what's
Yeah.
out there. I don't know what I want to do. It's you may
Yeah.
be asking the same thing. It's like, so what are you going to do with your life? Well, it's good. My life is good. Great. So what's on, and it's like each of us has something specific that we can go. And maybe, 20 people doing volunteer work, but nobody's going to do it the way you do it.
Right.
Or with your
Right.
energy, or with your vitality, or with your knowledge or information, or it's sharing information that you've gathered for the next generation. I mean, there's millions and millions and millions of ways to do it, but nobody's going to do it exactly like Marianne does it.
Yeah. Whatever it is.
Whatever it
that.
is.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think that we carry that same feeling,
It's a
maybe
great
because
point.
we think we should have the answers and we don't, and we're just learning how to not have them. And back to your, that's scary. It is scary not to have the answers, and to just trust, back to trusting your intuition, trust that your GPS will take you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Look at that. We just came full circle.
And we came full circle, and we do trust. How many times you question your GPS? I'm sorry, GPS, whatever your name is for your, why did you
Susie.
turn that
Mine
turn?
is Susie.
We're not doing that. We're just letting it go. So if we could trust the electrical equipment in our car,
Yeah.
there's a way we can trust that.
Love that. Love that.
Energy inside ourselves. So yeah.
Well, let's take us down to the wrap-up question, and that is, if you could only leave one message to our listener, what would it be? Just one.
Oh, just a little question. Yeah. Trust and listen. Just listen. Take a breath and listen.
Yeah.
And see what happens. Miracles can happen.
Love it.
Amazing things.
Love
Amazing things.
It's been a great conversation.
This is so much fun.
Definitely. And thank you for that. We'll put your links in the show notes, but where would you like to direct people to find you?
My website's probably the simplest, TO spelled out, journeytopurpose.org. And if they go to /contact and the number 2, they'll go straight to a link where they can just, give me their name, and I will send them a tracking sheet that recaps all the different ways that intuition comes through our bodies, and a little reminders on that, and something they can use, a little tool they can use to start getting familiar with when and how they're being helped, how they're being guided.
Excellent. And we will make sure to put that link out there for anybody that didn't jot it down.
Yes.
Thank you again for being here with me today. Such a great conversation.
I loved it. We're kindred spirits in the mind, and it's so fun talking to you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Me as well. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of Message in the Middle. I hope you found something in this conversation that reminded you that you're not alone, and that midlife isn't about winding down. It's about waking up. You're not done. You're just becoming. If this episode speaks to you at all, please share it with a friend who needs to hear it. And if you're enjoying the show, I'd be so grateful if you could take a moment to leave a review. It really helps other women find this community and this podcast. Until next time, take care of yourself.